Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this episode, we're going through 5 Bitcoin top signals to be aware of. And these are 5 that I'm going to be tracking throughout the remainder of the cycle and possibly putting together a more regular video update on this just to see exactly where we are as we progress. So if you enjoy the content in today's video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out my Patreon via the pinned comment below. So why do we need to look for top signals in the market? Well, essentially, what you can see from the chart here from previous cycles is we go through boom and bust, boom and bust. And again, in 2017-18, boom and bust. And so for anyone with limited resources, people who aren't already multimillionaires, we need to make sure that we're extracting as much profit from these markets as possible so we can own as much crypto as possible, as we all know that these markets are going to the top right-hand corner of all the charts. Prices and valuations are going to go up, market caps are going to go up, and so holding these scarce crypto assets is a way to ensure financial freedom and generational wealth. So what we look to do through this kind of analysis is make sure that we are selling on the way up and then DCAing on the way back down, and overall growing our crypto stacks for the long run. So this is the way we're going to get ahead. You have to be selling during the bullish momentum and buying through peak fear in order to get huge gains in the market. If we just look back to May, there were certain cryptocurrencies, for example, Luna went down to about $5 or $6. So imagine having 50, 60K to invest at that point in time and buying up 10,000 Luna. You would already be sat on around 370K at today's prices and potentially over $1 million over the next few months alone. So these gains can be made in a very short period of time. You have to have dry powder on the sidelines for this bearish period like this here, or this one by here, or this one by here. These major dips, we're required to hold stable coins ready to invest into that fear. So why do this video now? Well, as you can see, we're pushing up towards all-time highs. Bitcoin looks super bullish here. We got a huge number of catalysts on the cards that are going to send us north and north quite quickly. So best to get this kind of content out prior to us going into like a euphoric, greedy kind of mode where everyone's just pouring into the crypto markets. So let's have a little look where we are today. This is the 18th of October. So I'm sure a lot will change over coming months and we can revisit some of these indicators as and when necessary. So the first indicator here is the 2-year moving average multiplier, so the 2-year MA. So what this indicator does is it has the green line, which is the 2-year moving average, and a red line, which is the 2-year moving average multiplied by 5. So for example, if the price of the 2-year moving average is $100, the times 5 is going to be at $500. So essentially this just shows you when the price currently is moving at a huge pace. It's going up too quickly. We're seeing massive bullish momentum and essentially a blow off. So this will look like a hockey stick on the chart. If we zoom into any of these, we'll go back to this one in 2011. The price comes and breaks through the red line. So this was on the 29th of April, 2011, and we peaked here around the 9th of June. So roughly 5 weeks from the breaking of the line, we had hit a market peak. Let's just scroll back out and go through 2013 here. We broke the line 18th of March. We peaked on the 9th of April, roughly 3 weeks later. And then again in 2013, towards the end of the year, broke the line here, 4th of November, and peaked around here, I would say 28th of November. So 3-4 weeks time from breaking through the 2-year moving average times 5 line, we hit a market cycle top, or at least a local top. So this is the kind of indicator you're looking for to suggest we've hit that real parabolic advance, and what goes up must come down. But where are we right now on this indicator? Well, we seem to be slap bang in the middle between the green and the red lines. So neither scarily close to hitting euphoric territory, plus we're also quite a bit away from, this kind of 2-year moving average, which would be more bearish if we were down here at around $24,000. So at current standings, we're looking pretty good as is, but that is the first indicator to go through. The second one I'm going to go through here is the Pi Cycle Top indicator. Now, what is the Pi Cycle Top? There's an explanation here. This is all on lookintobitcoin.com, a really good, useful resource. All of these indicators are free to use via this website. I'm not going to show any paid content in today's video, so this is open to everyone to come and find for themselves. So essentially the pi cycle top indicator has historically been effective in picking out the timing of market cycle highs to within just 3 days. So when we have the crossover or the convergence of these two lines, the first one being the 111-day moving average, and then the 350-day moving average multiplied by 2, when we get that convergence, as denoted by the orange line, the 111, meeting the green, the 350 times 2. So for example, here in April 2013, you can see the line was hit here. Orange meets green, and then a couple of days later, we actually have our market cycle peak there on the 9th of April. And this plays out time and time again. So the pi cycle top has been a great indicator for showing you exactly when you want to be exiting the market within just 3 days typically. And this one, in fact, was even bang on the money on the 17th of December 2017 when Bitcoin hit its peak. Now, the next one is the relative unrealized profit and loss. Over on Glassnode, it's known as the NUPL, net unrealized profit and loss, essentially the same thing. This is all about people's paper gains or losses. So on the axis over here, you can see 0%. So this would mean people are at break even with their investments. And if we're going up here, people are generally in profit. So 50% of all people are in profit here. Everyone's in profit all the way up here. We've never got to that region, of course, because if everyone's in profit, people will be taking profits and thus dumping the prices down. And then down here, we have people generally in the red. So what we can see from these lines here, the red one is the unrealized profit and loss, and then the blue one here is the price. That as we go into a great bullish period here, so this was the 2017 cycle, as price is going up and up and up, you can see more and more people are entering into profit, and thus they mark these out by color and coordinate these as the greed area here when we got people in the region of 60 to 75% in profit. And then the euphoria is the pink right at the top, which we hit just about here in 2017/18, just edging into this territory here in December. And as that price goes up and up and up, more and more people are in profit, and the inevitable will eventually come. When you have enough people in profit at the same time, there's literally no one left to be buying up the coins anymore. There's going to be a lot more sellers than there are buyers, and the price will correct. As you can see, the blue line came down and we entered that multi-year bear market. But where are we in today's money? So we can see back at the start of this year through March, April, May time, when we were peaking out for BTC, a lot of people were in the green here. At least I would say 60-70% of people were in the green, and thus we were in an area of greed. And so when we had that market correction, as it inevitably comes when so many people are in profit, we then dropped back down. So a lot of people were then a lot less profitable than earlier in the year. We went down to a low here of around 35%, and then more recently in September, 36%. But you can see the numbers starting to creep back up. People are becoming profitable again, and we're entering from the optimism and despair stage into greed over the next month or so. But this to me doesn't seem anything too alarming, seeing as Bitcoin is nearing previous all-time high territory, but we are not yet in greed on this indicator. This leaves a lot of room to grow in my opinion, and I would highly expect we push well towards the top end of the greed spectrum and even into euphoria by the peak of this market cycle. And this also feeds into the Wall Street cheat sheet. This is all about psychology here. When people are in profit, everyone thinks they're a genius. We're all going to be rich. You'll probably see on social media people buying expensive watches, etc. But this is the point of peak maximum financial risk. You don't want to be entering the market at this stage. This is when we want to be laddering out, and substantially laddering out at this point in time, because what goes up must come down, and we want those funds on hand to buy the dip, buy the bear market, buy the blood, where there is the point of maximum financial opportunity. Now, the next indicator here is more of a general one. So I've just gone onto the Bitcoin wallet sizes of 1,000 plus BTC. There's quite a few metrics on this website for different brackets like 0 to 10 Bitcoin, 10 to 100, so on and so forth. But what you can do from here is just generally see what the whales are doing. Now, this one won't give you like a precise cash out moment in time. There's not going to be, okay, within this date and this date, you need to be selling because the whales are doing this. It's more of a general trend. So the yellow line, which is the wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin, which we can call the smart money. These are people who are mega wealthy. They've probably been doing this for many cycles, and we can just see what their behavior is. So as they are selling out here, they're selling into the strength. So as price is going up, they're actually DCAing out of the market. They're taking their profits. And then when we have the market crashes, like here, we're coming down nicely, they're buying back in. So they're being counterintuitive to the price action. Being a contrarian in the market is always the way to make the most money. Let's just go ahead and pull up this area. So from January 2021 here, when price was kicking up very, very nicely, all these whale accounts were actually selling. But we are seeing these entities, there was 2,125 of them in September, and there's 2,154 of them now in October. The number is slowly creeping back up. There will be some profit taking around the all-time high, I'm sure. So these guys are currently actually buying more Bitcoin at these levels. They're clearly expecting we break all-time high and that we didn't have the market cycle top back in April/May. And so what I would expect to see here is that as we go through October, November, and the Bitcoin price ticks up and up and up, that these guys will start to cash out. So this will be an indicator that we need to follow their trend, follow in their footsteps, ladder our way back out of the market to ensure we have stables on hand for the next cycle. Now this chart over on blockchaincenter.net is actually the Bitcoin rainbow price chart. This is a logarithmic regression band here. Benjamin Cowan uses these on some of his videos, and they're often quite easy to understand because they're nicely color coded. And as you can see from the yellow color that we're currently in, we're pretty much in neutral territory around the midpoint of these regression bands. And you can see from previous cycles, we go up to the dark reds and even beyond the bands previously in 2013. So a market cycle peak is usually when we get into these deeper reds, and they actually denote these deeper reds as an area of seriously sell, and then even the dark reds are maximum bubble territory. So we've got a lot of room to grow here from 60K. If we just map this out, say we're around February time, the deep red is going to be somewhere around here, $143,000, and then the dark red around $200,000. So just as a bit of an indication of what prices we could get to before we really are in that bubble territory, you'd be looking at around 200K for Bitcoin. But as you can see from the chart at current status, we're not that deep into this whatsoever. We're actually quite neutral on the market right now. And so if we look at all of these indicators together, in terms of where we are now, 18th of October 2021, we're pretty much neutral, fairly in the middle with things, neither bearish nor super bullish or greedy at this point. So it does mean that there is still juice in the tank here, and we've got some ways to go. So those were the 5 main indicators to look at that I will be following along with. But there's other indicators and signals that are very helpful. Of course, the fear and greed index for sentiment in the market. One of the things with this is the fact that we can stay in extreme greed for a very long time, and we can also stay in fear for a very long time. But this is a good indicator for when to buy and when to sell to counter trade the market. The next one here is all about trends. So this is Google Trends, search word crypto, and you can see from back in May, we peaked out with the highest amount of search volume worldwide for cryptocurrency we've ever had. Back in 2017, we were down here. This essentially shows you the amount of global interest in the market overall. And as you can see, we're not that high up right now, rating of just 40 out of course 100. Things like this you can factor in as well. App downloads for maybe crypto.com, Coinbase, those kind of things. Also major news. So if your local news channel is starting to talk about crypto, that again is a trend of a top signal. And generally taxi drivers, Uber drivers, even friends who have not been involved in crypto before, telling you they're about to buy some Doge and do you think it's a good idea? These are all the kind of signals that you need to take in and understand we must be near a top when this has happened. When everyone's getting involved and the herd is flocking in, this is when you want to be performing a U-turn and cashing out of the markets. So other great useful resources here, Benjamin Cowan for all the TA needs for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as well. He will keep us well informed as to where we are in the stage of the market. So why do your own TA when you've got an absolute gigabrain genius who will do it for you, providing pretty much 2 update videos each and every day. I literally watch him first thing in the morning, every single morning, to make sure I'm up to date with what's going on in the cryptoverse. So Ben for your technicals, and then for your on-chain analytics, Will Clemente here is pretty much bringing the on-chain data to the masses here. Of course, Willy Woo's done an excellent job for many years, but I think Will's got that kind of appeal here that younger guys want to get involved with understanding more about on-chain data. So he's providing a load of information that you can't get without being a paying member on Glassnode. So he's posting up charts for loads of stuff that you would have to pay hundreds of dollars for. So following him, seeing all the charts he's posting up is very useful to stay on top of what is going on chain. And this is the best thing about cryptocurrency. Everything's on chain. You can't hide these transactions. So we know what all these entities are doing. All we need to do is follow along. So there we have our indicators to follow along with to indicate the Bitcoin top. Now what will happen is once we top out for Bitcoin, and hopefully we will see a nice lower high printed on that Bitcoin price chart, well, after that we're going to be off to the races with the altcoins. This is when that money flow goes from Bitcoin with all its liquidity that it's soaked up over those months of massive price moves. That's going to be dumping through the altcoin market. So this is the one that's going to peak first, and then our altcoins are going to get the treatment afterwards. So analyzing Bitcoin as your go-to and general health check for the market is super important to keep your finger on the pulse with what is going to come afterwards. Then typically what we've seen in previous cycles is that after this happens, Bitcoin tops, the movement into alt then lasts maybe a few weeks, even a month of absolute pandemonium and altcoins going berserk. So when we see all these top signals coming together, a nice bit of confluence in the market, you need to be heavily DCAing back out of the market and making sure you've got stables on hand for the next bear. So let me know down below, shall I make this more of a regular update to see where we are with these indicators going forward? It's something I will be looking at regularly anyway, so no dramas if you want a video on this as well, if you think that's going to be helpful. So let me know down below, guys, and I will catch you in the next video. Goodbye.